Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the darkest timeline. It's definitely the darkest timeline. I don't just mean the podcast, I mean this timeline is the absolute darkest. To find out what is in this week's episode, stay tuned. I can promise you this, it's definitely going to be some talk about World War II. So there's that. Before we start, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave us a review where you can leave reviews. Share the podcast around people. That's how we get the name out there, the podcast out there. Any of the podcasts, just share them around. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the darkest timeline. Hello. How are you doing? Like I say, like I always say, not always, but like I say, I have to work on the principle that you're like, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you? Because I don't know what to do if that's not your answer. Obviously, you can email me. Drop me an email. Say, you always ask how I'm doing, and honestly, not doing great. And then, we can chat. Yeah. Another one of those evenings where I was like, oh, it's 9 o'clock, is it? And I've not eaten anything. That bodes well, getting a podcast done. So what I decided was to have a massive meal that I now regret every moment of my decision. But very random stuff for this week. And the only way to find out what that is to get stuck in. So here we go. I keep saying they need to change the name of this. My youngest daughter had another trial day at school. Things like this, to me, make you or break you as a parent. So, and I'll explain what I mean by that. It's not like, so if you're early, turn up early, then you set the scene, you set the standard, you let the teacher know, hey, I'm a parent you can rely on. So at least 5 minutes early, job done. Now, we weren't late. That's the thing. We weren't late. We were there nice on time. Stood in the playground. We did the whole, one of those things. I already know a couple of the parents anyway. Always good to have someone to be able to talk to. All of that. So we're good on that side of things. We weren't late. I have this thing where I'm always trying to find a balance. So I'm like, I don't want to be the super clingy, like helicopter parent kind of, but I don't want it to be like, I don't care, whatever. So I try and find where the middle ground is, where the sweet spot is. In my ultimate wisdom, I decided, hey, this is a good opportunity to see what it would be like on a normal school day. I'm not going to be hanging around. I'm not going to be pampering. I'm not going to be, oh, you're going to be all right. I'll say, have a good day, be good, play nice, all of the things that you're supposed to say. And then I will leave, because that is the way it's always been, all the way through nursery, through preschool, through all of it. It's always been, have a good day, I'll see you later, out the door. For everybody's sake, because especially with like recently, it was very difficult to leave my son at nursery. I struggled with it with my youngest daughter. It's in a lot of ways, it's more for me than it is for them. I got to get out of there. I can't see them upset. I don't want them to be upset. And I look back now and I see other children that are upset and that are clingy, and that parent can't leave them for 45 minutes or whatever it is. And you're just like, I am so glad that's not me. I'm so glad that's not my child. So I made the decision to do the whole be good, have a fantastic time, enjoy it, make friends, play nice, do what the teacher tells you, just enjoy. That's the main thing, enjoy. And I sent her off. In hindsight, this was the wrong thing to do. It's as simple as that. What I should have done was I should have gone and spoken to the teacher. And I should have just done here she is. See you later, see you in a bit. In my defence, there are other things. Obviously, you've got best part of 30 kids. Best part of 30 kids is the best part of 60 adults. It's not. It's more like 45. But you get what I mean. You've got one door, one way in, one way out. It's a bottleneck. It's a very busy situation. I didn't want to add to that. Me and my son turn. We walk away. And as we walk away, I heard a dad say to a mum, "Oh, it's saying the collection time. The time this dad gave to this mum was 15 minutes earlier than what the information the school had provided." Now then, the key here is this dad spoke to the teacher. So I sent a text message. Hey, I've just heard one of the parents saying pickup's 15 minutes before we were told it was supposed to be. The message I get back, well, that's not what the information said. The information was very clear. It's this time to this time. The information was very clear. If something's changed, if it's different, they should have circulated that information. I went back. I fully agree. But I did just hear this parent say this, and they did speak to the teacher. Now then, working on the principle that should have been enough information, I'm like, that should be enough information. However, I don't want to rock up, because remember the 5-minute rule? I don't want to rock up 20 minutes before I'm supposed to be there. So, I make a shrewd decision. I will turn up 10 minutes early, which is 10 minutes before the time that we were told to be there, which gives 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes after the new time, but there's a lot of parents, a lot of children. It's not late, it's 10 minutes early. Up here for thinking, yes. Me and my son come home, we do he goes off for a sleep. I go and do some exercise-related stuff. Second shower of the day, get changed, out the door. I have an issue with being late, which is interesting considering my upbringing. But I think that's part of it. My granddad was always if you need to be anywhere, you need to be there 5 minutes early, and that means you need to set off 10 minutes before you have to be there 5 minutes early. Give yourself 15 minutes leeway, you're good. And I don't know what happened, and I don't know where it all changed, but there was a time when I was like, turning up 10 minutes late, 10 minutes late's fine, yeah? And then there was a time when I was like, I'll be there 20 minutes early, because then at least I'm there and I can just hang around for 20 minutes. And there are times when I'm like, man, I really did not need to be here this early. So it has its downsides. On the other hand, I personally think it's always a good look for these sorts of situations. School type things. If the teacher sees the parents there 5 minutes before they need to be there, that's a parent you can rely on. That's a parent you can count on. That's a parent that's got their shit together. In a crisis, that's the parent. I'm heading to the school. I'm quote unquote early. And then I see it. Parents with children away from the school. And I go, for fuck's sake. And I get closer, and there's more parents and there's more children. And I get closer, more parents, more children. People I recognise. I'm like, this is not okay. We were told a particular time. We were told a specific time. In reality, I'm trying to not blame myself for the fact that I should have turned up at past, but that would have... I get to the school. There's 5 children left. My child is one of the 5 children that's left, and I go, fuck. It's not even day one. Not even day one. She hasn't even started at the freaking school. Not even day one. And one of the teachers comes out, and I get the look of, we didn't expect any better. We didn't expect any more. We didn't expect you to be here on time. In fact, we'd have been surprised if you were here on time. And I'm like, I'm early. I don't care. I'm early. To the point where I was like, oh, am I late? Because, according to my watch, I'm early. According to the information put out by the school, I'm early. And the response I got was, it's okay, it doesn't matter, it happens, we understand. What do you understand? Do you understand that you changed the time, you moved the goalposts, and you didn't inform all of the parents? Do you understand that? Because that's what we're talking about here. But I was gutted. I was mortified. I was like, that poor child had to be one of the children that was there, and the parent didn't pick them up, and the parent was like, oh, my parent's a terrible parent because my parent isn't here on time to collect me. And how awful is that? That was my child. And that's that. That's the impression. That's the impression that these people, the teachers of my daughter's first year at school. That's it. That's it. And now they're just going to be surprised when we're on time, when we're early, never late. That'll be a surprise. So there we go. Big gold star for me as a parent. Add to that, we're going to start having some difficulties at the moment. Not those kind of difficulties. Difficulties in the sense of She's got a younger brother that she's still adjusting to. She's got issues surrounding her sisters. I was having a conversation with somebody today and I was like, she's just got so much going on, so much change in her life at the moment. I'm surprised she's managing to keep up with it. In a lot of ways she is, but in other ways she isn't. So she came home and obviously it was very much like all of the issues that she's been dealing with, all the issues that she's been going through, all the problems that she's been having have been magnified by putting her in a room with 30 other kids and a tiny handful of adults. So she came home and I was like, I just had to keep saying to her, I understand you've been to school today, but calm your passions. And I just kept saying to her, I will try and help you as best I can, but I get it, I do understand. And I just kept saying that I understood, but I knew it was difficult. But oh wowzer, and it lasted for days. It lasted for days. So yeah, got all that to look forward to in a couple of months. I'm listening to a new podcast. We always talk about how it's strange to promote other podcasts on a podcast. And this isn't one of those. This is finally got around to listening to a podcast about World War II. And it's like it's a massive breakdown of World War II. I'm on episode 17. And there's over 400. I think there's nearly 500 episodes. It's that's what we're talking about. And it's about World War II. It's not like World War II and beyond. It's literally just World War II. I've always enjoyed history. Certain aspects of history, I've always liked history. One of the big things that kind of haunts me is the fact that I wasn't able to do history at GCSE because I was quite good at it. I did very well in history. Was unable to take history as a GCSE. I'm very sad about that. And 30 years later, still not happy about it, if I'm honest. So I started listening to a World War II podcast. World War II to me is this subject that there is so much information. It's too much information, and I think ultimately you can try and do your best to kind of hold on to the information. I've only listened to 17 episodes. And as I said, I think there's the best part of 500 of them. But so far, the one thing that's come out from it is I just keep asking myself, how did this happen? It's a very strange situation. It's like, at which point did somebody think, maybe we should do something about this? I just listened to it and I'm like, why is nobody doing anything? Why is nothing being done? There is a point, and admittedly in the podcast it said this was probably one of the first signs that things weren't going so well, because it talks about Hitler getting so overwhelmed with anger that he had to chew the carpet. He had to chew the corner of the carpet. I imagine it was more like a rug, because I can't imagine him going into the corner of a room and pulling up the carpet and chewing it. But that's what it was said. He had to chew the corner of the carpet. And it was said to sort of highlight how one of the people involved at this point in time probably got their first taste of, this guy's not all that stable. it hands down has to be some of the most baffling stuff in history. I understand the genocide, the Holocaust side of it, the 6 million Jews that were killed, the utter atrocities that went out. I understand all that. The invading different countries, something I never really realised was Italy's involvement at the very start, and Italy were doing very similar things to Germany. They were like baby Germany, like diet Germany, I suppose. You've always got that sense of it was a very bad time, and very bad things happened, and there was a lot of horrible stuff going on. I don't think what has really ever stood out to me is just the sheer level of insanity that went with it. Just the completely baffling nature of all the things going on at that time, where you're like, why is this happening? Just like a guy who's like, I'm going to go and invade this country. Are everybody cool with that? And the other people involved being like, yeah, okay. And him being like, oh, all right then, I'll do that then, yeah? Yeah, okay. Nobody at that point in time thought, maybe we want to do something about this. Sooner rather than later would have been good. So strange. Fascinating, but very strange. So, with a multitude of different children, it brings a multitude of different activities. They all do a lot of similar things. Some of them do, like, one of them likes one thing and the others don't. You often get things like that. Anyway, with a lot of children, you get a lot of activities, especially at this time of year. So, sports day number 2 in the bag. And sports day number 2, not a lot like sports day number 1. Firstly, didn't get rained off. Instead, was like sitting in an oven because it was indirect sunlight for 2 hours. I definitely think I came home and did absolutely everything I could to stave off sunstroke. I went through half a box of ice pops, and I'm guessing about 8 gallons of water that day. I took water with me this time, because that was the one mistake I made. Sports day 1, took no water with me. Did get rained off after an hour, so you know. One of my daughters is at one end of the school, the other is at the other end of the school, age-wise. So the school's split into 2. You've got group 1, group 2. So this is the older end of the school. And what I can say is this. Sports day 1, you line 6 kids up and you tell them to run. Those 6 children are going to finish around about the same sort of time. You can have a winner, 2, 3, 4, and then the 2 guys that come last. And there you go. Those children will finish within 2 or 3 seconds of each other. When you move to the other end of the scale, they're worlds apart. They're essentially different species, because you've got clear athletes and not. And I don't know if this was done on purpose, but what they'd do is they'd put that group of people, that combination of people, in the same race. So you have child finishing 15 seconds before anyone else. And you're like, cool. One of the kids crossed the finish line by spinning in the air because he was that far out ahead of everyone else. There was the point where I was going to have to go and have words with whoever was doing the positions, because I'm adamant that my daughter, that she came second and they gave her third. That's not on. However, one of the last year's sports day, my daughter said to me, you need to watch for this particular race because I am absolutely 100% coming first. And that is because I am one of the fastest in my class, nay school. And you know what? She was absolutely right. She came first in that race. It was a good race. It was a close race. She did come first. There's me going, so we're expecting a first this year. Absolutely no problem. I looked across at her across the field. I was like, got first for this one, yeah? No. Like, come on. First? No. And again, she was right. She did not come first. And I was like, what a difference a year makes. There was another race. Egg and spoon. I mean, it's more luck than anything, isn't it? She did get a first, which I was very impressed with. Super happy with that. And I said to her at the weekend, I was very impressed with your relay, because I feel that your contribution to your relay race actually changed the course of the position your team finished. I.e., after the first person ran, they were in second. After she ran, they were in first. By a ways as well. So, yeah. It was... I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? Like I always say, you don't go to watch other people's children. And there was like... It was weird. There was 4 classes, but there was 5 groups. So you've got 5 lots of like 6 kids in each race, and then there's like 6 groups of 6 kids. And after a while, you're just like, that's a lot of other people's children to get through, and a very small amount of the child I've come to see to get through. What are we doing here? I don't feel it's wrong to say I've only come to see my child. So that's the only child I'm interested in. So I'm a bit like, I don't want to watch the other children. But whatever. So yeah, Sports Day 2 in the bag. Yeah, it's coming thick and fast. I felt a bit embarrassed because I had to go to like my work and be like, I have a lot of children, and because of that, I've got a lot of things coming up over the next few weeks where I need time away from work. And it's that thing, they're always really good about it, and for a lot of it you get the time credited and that sort of stuff. But it is still I've got this number of children and they all do activities and they all do school-based things. Even my youngest daughter's got not a school, but a school-based thing coming up. Luckily, it's in the holidays. So... interesting weekend. Did turn a year older. That was a thing. Nice to have the opportunity to spend with family and my children and, extended family and stuff. I've spent the last day or so trying to decide whether it's the worst birthday I've ever had. And honestly, it's close. It might be joint first. I can't decide. It might be joint first. What a depressing, miserable fucking day. It's definitely, if not the worst birthday I've had. It's the worst or second. I'm trying to decide. There was a birthday I had about 5 years ago, and that was fucking awful. One of the most miserable experiences of my life at that time. And it was my birthday, so, it was that, yay, terrible. So, like I say, this birthday, yesterday, is either a close second, joint first, or is actually taking the crown. I was fucking miserable because it was fucking awful. I am not one of these people that gets down in the dumps about, another year older. Get over yourself. I don't, yes, there are times where it's like, oh man, being this age, not great. There are other times where it's like, what exactly is it that I'm going to do to change that? That's right, nothing. So, there's that side of it. One of my favourites, which I had to deal with today, was that my longest serving friend of 33 years, longest serving friend of 33 years, did not wish me a happy birthday. Did send me a text message at 10 o'clock in the evening to say they'd watched Fast and Furious 10, or Fast X is it actually called. I was like, that's nice. Featured such things as certain people in my life that did not acknowledge my existence. Just, birthday. No message, no nothing. I've had the obligatory couple of messages today from people going, happy birthday for yesterday. Had the new one, because obviously you get people like, I didn't realise it was your birthday, happy birthday for yesterday. My new favourite has to be, I'm going to wish you a happy birthday today for tomorrow. All right, you busy tomorrow? I am fully aware when I wrote down, I must talk about my birthday and how terrible it was. I'm fully aware that a lot of it sounds like, wow, it's my birthday, everybody worship. It's nothing to do with that. A lot of this stuff I'm talking about is 18 seconds to write happy birthday and press send. In a 24-hour period. That's the sort of thing we're talking about. Especially if you're the kind of person that sends a message that's like, I can't believe you didn't wish me a happy birthday. And then you go, well, I did wish you a happy birthday, and here's the evidence. Well, I didn't receive that message. Well, I sent it, and here's the evidence. As a wild example. I had a variety of different things to do yesterday. One of the highlights being walk the dog. I was up there. It was up there. because it was a miserable experience, as every Sunday walk with the dog is, because the dog knows what day of the week it is and knows where we go on a Sunday, so is just in I'm an ass mood from the moment we step foot out the door. And I then spend the first 25 minutes of the walk going, can you just calm it down? I know that you know where we're going, and I know that you know that it's the best day of the week, but can you just calm your passions for 2 minutes to allow us to actually get there? Oh, speak of the devil. Yeah. So I was like, my middle daughter keeps saying she wants to go swimming. My middle daughter is very much she'll tell me that she wants to do something. I want to do this. And I go, okay, I'm going to make a mental note that you've said you want to do that, and you will not rest until we've done it. And you'll make sure various intervals to remind me that you have said that you want to do that. At one point I said, hey, we're going to do that thing. Even worse, saying, hey, we're going to do that thing. So this one was, I'd like to go swimming. And I was like, well, we'll go swimming we'll go swimming at the weekend. Not thinking it through too much, that the weekend was, birthday, best day of the year, innit? So to make it right, we have a standing rule in our house. Number one rule in our house. Our swimming pool sometimes gets full. Especially in scenarios where they decide, we don't want to open both pools, so we'll just have one pool and then we'll tell you it's full. So we have a standard rule in our house. The swimming pool may be full. You are not allowed to be upset about this because you know it's a thing, and we will just go home. And as I'm sure you're aware at this point, that's exactly what happened yesterday. They were full. They had a queuing system going on. They were like, there's 8 people in the queue in front of you. I was like, cool. And then slowly worked through everybody in our group going, well, my son only had like half an hour before he needed to go off for a sleep. My eldest won't want to go in that pool. And I just worked through all of the family going, this is a non-starter, let's go home. So we did that. The highlight was, let's go to the cafe we like to go to, and I'm going to treat myself by not having a cheat meal Saturday. I don't want to use the word starving myself, but not eating all day Sunday so that I can go and have a piece of cake. Sound plan. Me, being the brain donor that I am, got there and went, fuck it. It's my birthday. It's been a shit day so far. Oh, I haven't even got to the other stuff. Remind me to double back. It's been a shit day so far. The way to make this situation better is to have not one piece of cake, but 2 pieces of cakes, because I haven't had anything to eat today. And I purposely made sure that I was going to be in a position to eat a piece of cake. And honestly, might as well just have 2 pieces. So I had a look what they had. I was like, that one sounds nice. And I'm also going to get that one because it's my birthday and I can have 2 pieces of cake. And of course, being a fat, disgusting pig is not the answer. So 2 pieces of cake was a ridiculously stupid idea. Because I ate a piece of cake and I went, that's probably enough for me. And now I've got this other piece of cake to eat. So this is going to go well, isn't it? So then I ate a second piece of cake and felt unwell. So to double back, another thing which is super fun. My older 2 children don't deal with other people's birthdays well. My mother would be absolutely rolling around on the floor laughing right now and would tell me that this is karma. and would remind me about all the multitude of birthdays that I've ever ruined in my life. It is a thing, and it took me many years to accept that. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. It's just a thing. For want of a better way of putting it, and to be quite blunt, my older two children don't deal with other people's birthdays well because it's not their birthday. They're children. Pretty sure that's a thing. What it means is, if it's somebody else's birthday, they don't engage. They won't come to you and go, I got you a card for your birthday. Here you go. They will put a card near you in the vicinity and walk away and expect you to know what that means. Likewise with gifts, etc. So, because I was having a miserable time, because I was having a terrible day, and because of the entire situation, I was so depressed, unhappy, miserable, having the worst fucking day, that there were points where I was like, I might just have a little cry, just to, cleanse the palate. I just ended up in a different room. I just wander off to the kitchen and make a drink, and then stand in the kitchen and look at my drink and be like, yay, birthday. Or I'd just sit in the corner while everybody was playing, and I was like, well, it's nice they can play, it's nice they can all play together, it's nice they're having a nice time, it's nice they're enjoying their day. And then out to the end of the day, it was the fact that there were multiple times where I forgot it was my birthday. Now, at the age I'm at, I don't think you're supposed to be like, yay, it's my birthday, so on and so forth. I remember when I was writing the stuff out on the list for the podcast, I remembered a very similar subject this time last year, me talking about how, I think I'm starting to think that birthdays just get more depressing as the years go on. But going back to what I was saying about Father's Day, ultimately 365 days in the year. If 2 of those days, you can't say those 2 days are maybe about you, because kids get Easter and birthdays and Christmas and a multitude of other things. What a classic parent thing to say would be, every day's Children's Day. It's 2 days. So I get very torn between sounding like a little bitch, a whiny little bitch, because nobody acknowledged my existence as far as my birthday was concerned, and being like, yeah, but you're a really old person and nobody cares. The thing that almost annoyed me more, not that some of the supposed closest people to me either didn't acknowledge my existence or, didn't acknowledge my existence. People who I've not spoken to in 10 freaking years, people who I've not seen in 10 years, were like, happy birthday. I'm like, thanks. I probably couldn't pick you out of a lineup. Joys of Facebook. So, one thing that I like to keep us all up to date on is the constant battle with the bathroom scales. Now then, remember the conversation about eating 2 pieces of cake. 2 pieces of cake is a surefire way to step on the scales on a Monday morning and be like, oh boy, yeah, the place we went to gave me a piece of cake to take home with me. Obviously, that doesn't mean that I ate it. I mean, I did, because it was my goddamn birthday. So, 3 pieces of cake. Absolutely 100% stepping on the scales this morning. Now, I was estimating £5. Now, the reason for this is twofold. Number one, see the 3 pieces of cake I ate yesterday. Number two, I have been on a bit of a tear. Anybody who listens regularly might remember a few weeks back I was saying about having this threshold that I just cannot seem to cross. And I now dipped way into that threshold. In the words of Bert Kreischer, I'm the skinniest fat I've been for a long time. And I think it's just fear. And that fear is strange and weird, and I can't explain it, but it's the only way I can explain it, to say that I think it's fear. And this last week has been... There's a part of me that wants to step on the scales and see, I put on £6 this week. What that is, I don't know. I can't tell you. There's a part of me that wants a magical fairy to have appeared in the middle of the night, waved a magic wand and said, you've eaten like shit this week, but hey, you actually lost weight. I think we can all agree on that one. Then there's the thing where it's like, weirdly, I'm going to step on the scales, and although it's been a bit of a rough week, basically going to be in that same kind of weight area. So, fully expecting £5 to £6 put on. I tentatively stepped on the scales this morning and went, what? So I was the same weight as last week, which was the same weight as the week before I found out when I updated my this is what we weigh each week type thing. So now immediately my thought is, the scale's broken. I'm like, that's the only answer. The only thing I can presume is the scales must be broken. But, for whatever reason, same weight. Exact same weight. Exact to the 0 point of a pound. Exact same weight. So this week's goal is what I feel is achievable with a bit of work. This week's goal is £2. So I want you to hold me accountable. £2. And if it happens, I'll explain why £2 was important. So we'll see. Lastly, on my things I wanted to talk about this week, I don't know if it was a week ago or a couple of weeks ago. It was the point in time where I was telling you all that I needed to retire. Yesterday, it is obvious, but today has been a day of I don't want to do that. To everything. It started with opening my eyes and going, I don't want to get up. I don't want to get dressed. I don't want to go for a run. I don't want to come home. I don't want to get ready to go to work. I don't want to take my children to preschool and nursery. I don't want to drive to work. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to have to do my job. I don't want to have to do any of the meetings I've got to do today. I don't want to come home and have to work out. I don't want to have to get on the treadmill. I don't want to it's really silly things. Not silly in some way, but I don't want to have to walk the dog. Because it ended up that it said, my watch was like, oh, it's going to rain a little bit in the next hour. I was like, a little bit's fine, we can handle that. Obviously it was, torrential rain that we got caught in. But it wasn't that. It was, I don't want to walk the dog. Because today has been very much I don't want to do any of it. But it's not just today. It's this is a common theme. And I'm aware, it sounds like depression, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you had a rough day yesterday, so, it's that. This has been going on for weeks. And I was walking to work this morning, and I had a realisation. And the realisation was this. It's that accumulative effect. So, for one reason or another, I'm having a really shit time of things at work. I feel massive amounts of my job are incredibly unnecessary to everybody apart from the people making me do it. There are aspects of my job that I really don't enjoy. There are aspects of my job that I don't mind, which helps. But there just seems to be so much at the moment where I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. To the point where I had a meeting today where I knew what the meeting was going to entail. And I was not pissed, just annoyed at the situation as a whole. That when the meeting started, I went, can I ask a question? Why do we need to do this? It seems like the most backwards thing possible. And I went through my reasoning for it. I was like, I just don't understand why. And luckily for me, fortunately for me, whatever, one of the other people who was in the meeting, it was almost like they'd been waiting for me to say it, because they immediately went, I fully agree. And luckily the person who was running the meeting was like, I agree as well. And, luckily for you, we're going to do it differently. And I was like, well, that's fine. That's great. I understand the reasons for it. I'm just very much like, why? It's just, there's like all these variety of different things going on with each of my individual children. One of my children has decided that there's this particular thing that they've started doing, and I'm like, I see why you're doing it, I know why you're doing it, I understand it 100%. That doesn't make it any easier to deal with. And then one of my other children is doing this. This is how I'm going to be right now. And I'm like, that's great. I understand you. I know where you're coming from. I feel you. But it is not helpful in the slightest. And one of my other children is... I want them to understand certain aspects of life. I'm like, this is life and this is the way life is. And their interpretation of that is, yeah, if you say so. I'm like, no, it really is. This is life, and it'd be a good idea to get used to that now, so it's not going to be such a crushing blow in the future. And they're like, yeah, sure, Dad. So, like I say, a cumulative effect. There's those silly things, little things, like, just like, oh, I've been meaning to do this job every day for 6 weeks, but for whatever reason, I've not had the opportunity to do it. But all that means is that job hasn't been done. And then, I need to take the dog to the vets, but fitting it in and getting the vet to do what I actually want the vet to do is impossible. All they care about is the fucking money. And it's all of those things put together in a nice, neat parcel with a bow on that's just one giant middle finger. And I look at it and go, I don't want to do any of that. And I think that then transfers to everything else. I don't want to get up. I don't want to run. I don't want to work out. I don't want to walk the dog. I don't want to deal with work stuff. I don't want to deal with all of it. It's not super helpful, but that is how I feel. So there. Anyway, TV-wise. There's two. I've got two on the list. One I'm going to talk about. The other one I'm not going to talk about, but I'm going to mention something to do with it. No movies this week, I'm afraid. I've got a big pile of movies. Half of them you won't be interested in. There's one in there that you will be interested in, but I'll talk about it as a whole. It's just, I was going to watch it last night, but I looked at how long it was and was like, wow, that's not short. Tom Segura's special, Sledgehammer, released in the last week. This was the stand-up set that we saw back in March, maybe. Whenever it was, I went to see Tom Segura. So, the last two specials, I've seen the material live. So the last special, I saw the material live. Didn't overly enjoy seeing the material live. And then that special became my favourite Tom Segura special and one of my favourite stand-up specials ever. And I've always thought that was weird. So, this time round, I really enjoyed seeing the stuff live, so I wondered how that would impact the special. And, as I'm sure you can imagine, yes, it was absolutely the opposite. I watched the special, I enjoyed watching it, I thought it was done very well, it was shot very well. I'm always a bit weirded out by that stage where you're in the middle and the audience is all around you, because I just work on the principle that for the entire time you've always got your back to somebody, and that must just be weird. Anyway, I watched the special, I enjoyed the special, it was very good, but immediately I went, I've seen this, I know this material. So when I came up to watching it the second time, it felt like I've seen it 100 times before. Whereas the previous special of his, I could watch it every day. And I've probably seen it 10, 20 times. That's not even an exaggeration. Obviously there's a big difference between 10 and 20, but you know what I mean. Very strange. Like even Bert's last stand-up special, I saw the material live, but I've seen that stand-up special multiple times since it was released. Very strange. Can't explain it in any way, shape or form. So, the other thing is something that I'm going to talk about, but not talk about because it's not a subject that everybody would be interested in. My eldest daughter watches a lot of the stuff that I used to watch. Cartoons I used to watch when I was younger. Not that much younger than I am now. Films I used to watch. She's doing a Marvel watch. All that sort of stuff. She worked her way through the Justice League cartoons. All of them. And I was like, hey, there was another series that came later. Young Justice. So I found it. It was available to buy, I think, and I basically worked through buying them. I'd seen them all, and I was like, hey, there was a third series that came later. Basically, the show got cancelled, then it got picked up again. The third series came later, and vaguely in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm sure there was something about the intention was to aim it at a slightly older audience. As a parent, I am not prepared to allow my children to watch stuff that I've not seen. I was fine with this because I'd seen the first two series and half of the third series and believed I'd seen actually all of the third series. I did a silly thing, and the silly thing was that I put the first episode of the third series on, checked the rating. The rating was well below her age range, and I said, great, you are safe to watch this series. She watched all of series 3, that was a little while ago, and that was that. After a while I was like, hey, I haven't seen this for a while, and, you know, if I give it a rewatch, it gives us something to talk about, a bit of a common ground. That's a great idea. I watched series 1. Took me ages to get through the first series because, you know, I'm a dad and it's a cartoon. Series 2, however, managed to get through it quite quickly. Series 3, here we go. I watched the first episode, great. I watched the second episode, great. I watched another episode and was like, the subject matter in this seems a little different. I'm like, what's going on? Watched another couple of episodes. One episode's fine. The next episode's a bit stronger. I'm like, is this what they deem is okay for, like, 7-year-olds these days? And then I realised that one of the episodes started and the rating it gave wasn't the same rating as the first episode. And I went, hey, that's not okay. You can't change the rating for different episodes, because I've worked on the principle that the rating of the first episode was the rating of the series. Some might say that was a silly manoeuvre. Others might be like, yeah, that's valid. And that's the point I went, shit. Because I wouldn't let one of my children watch something that I don't know what the content is. Which is why I can go, you can watch this. You can watch this. I will let my child watch a film that is of an age rating that is higher than their age if I know what's in it and I deem that it's okay knowing my child. That's okay for you because you're mature enough to watch it. So then I was like, I don't know if I need to maybe mention to her, look, I've realised that maybe some of the content in this was a little bit higher than I would necessarily be okay with you watching. And then I went, yeah, but she won't remember any of this. So I had a conversation with her at the weekend. I was like, I watched this. I went through all the stuff I've just gone through with you. And I was like, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say you can't remember anything that happened in that series. And she was like, nope. Like, there we go. I gave her a bit of a rundown. I was a bit like, look, if there's something that you remember and you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. But ultimately, you know, a lot of the subject matter in it, it's quite tame by nowadays standards. Computer game wise, nothing new. And that's part of the problem. I've hit a bit of I could really do with a new game kind of area, whilst at the same time being like, but what would that game be? Because, you know, most new games are shit. I've been playing a lot of Breakpoint. I've been playing Resident Evil 4 for the third playthrough. I reinstalled some games the other day. So I installed some of the sniper games. And I gave Sniper 3, whatever they're actually called, a restart from the beginning. That was okay. Sniper Contracts, the other ones are called. My intention is to work through like 3 and then 1 and 2. Because, yes, strangely enough, that is the order. I am itching for a new game. So, not sure on that one. I might have to see where that leads. What I can tell you is, I don't have new game money, so there's that. I've been considering doing a game purge. I feel I've got a lot hanging around that isn't getting played and I'm starting to feel probably won't get played, so maybe it's time for a purge. We shall see. That is the podcast for this week. So thanks for listening, thanks for being here, and I'll catch you next time. So there you go, what do you think of that? Another one done, another week gone. Whew. Tell you, where does that time go? Thank you for listening, thank you for being here, thank you for watching. Before you go, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave us a review where you can leave a review, and check out the website. It's thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button. That way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to this episode of QuickieCast.